Hi, I'm Bob Warfield from CNC Cookbook, and today I want to talk about starting a CNC business. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur and involved with starting and growing 7 different businesses to date, so my CNC audience often asks me about starting a new business. I always ask CNCers to focus on researching and answering 3 basic questions up front. Are you starting a job shop or a product company? How will you find your customers? Why will those customers choose you instead of someone else? Having done your homework to get good answers to these questions, answers that you're comfortable with, is essential to starting off on the right foot. Homework is cheap and starting a business is risky, so it's well worth your time. You've probably got an idea of which one you want to do before you ever saw this video, but let's look at some of the basic characteristics of these 2 types of companies because they work quite differently. First, let's look at job shops. A typical job shop needs relatively few customers. About 30 good ones will take you far. Most of the competitive angle is about cost, but not all. However, if you don't like being hounded about costs and constantly trying to deliver something more cheaply, a job shop may not be right for you. Expect to have many competitors as a job shop. There are things you can do to cut down on competition, but for the most part, intense competition is a fact of life for job shops. Aside from machining, the key skills you need to close business are sales and networking skills. You need to be comfortable selling your services one-on-one, face-to-face. You need to be comfortable cold calling and being rejected many times. That's all part of the game with job shops. Product companies are a little different. Depending on how expensive your products are, you typically need a lot more customers than a job shop does to be successful. You need to be able to sell hundreds to thousands of customers your product. That presents slightly different challenges. This job is mostly about product, not the machining. Many product companies don't even manufacture their own products, although by manufacturing the products yourself, you can give your company an advantage over others. Your competitors will be fewer than in the case of a job shop. In fact, you can intentionally choose products that have few competitors, at least initially, until they discover how great your product and market are. Your biggest skill, aside from machining, is the ability to design great products and to market them. One-on-one selling is less important. You need a product you can sell without having to go door to door, but rather with some form of online marketing. Otherwise, it's just too hard to get hundreds of customers lined up one at a time. If you've decided to start a job shop, you'll find your customers through networking and direct sales. That means face-to-face contact. You need to get your prospects to take a meeting with you first, and once you're in the meeting, you have to convince them to give you a chance. I know one machinist that loaded up his truck with parts he'd made so that prospects could get a look at what he was capable of, and then he went door to door to any local company that used heavy machinery. His offer to them was a simple one. It was basically that he could make replacement parts for their big machines faster and cheaper than they could be ordered from the heavy machinery manufacturer. For example, he would go to the local newspaper to help them out with their printing presses. He did pretty well with that approach, but it required a lot of personal sales calls to get the business off the ground. You can get a little help with that online using local search. That's much like using the yellow pages back in the old days. Just don't expect to hang out your shingle and see the work come pouring in. You have to go out and find the work if you're running a job shop. If you're talented at marketing too, you may be able to leverage that into an online presence for your job shop. John Saunders at NYCNC is a great example. He's made tons of YouTube how-to videos about machining. As a result, people searching for machinists often come across his videos. They discover him, and some of them contact him with job shop type work. Product companies can benefit hugely from digital marketing. The best game in town is called content marketing, and you should look into that. My company, CNC Cookbook, uses this approach of content marketing almost exclusively. Basically, you'll be giving away valuable free content in order to get people's attention. You can also use social networks like Facebook and online special interest groups. For example, if you want to make parts for firearms, there are a ton of online groups you can go to in order to drum up interest in your parts. Advertising is much harder to do well for a small business. It's expensive and competitive. You really have to know what you're doing or you'll waste a lot of money. You always need a product that is more expensive and has higher margins if you want to pay for advertising. I tend to avoid advertising for those reasons. Why do customers choose job shops? Whatever business you're looking to start, you'd better have an answer to the question of why customers will choose you instead of the other guy. It can't simply be that you're a better machinist than that other guy. You might well be, but that's a tough message for a new business to communicate with credibility. The most common way job shops get business is via relationships. They're selling to people they already know well. Perhaps they used to work for them or with them. Cost is a selling point, but you better be able to make parts a lot cheaper than the next guy if you're going to hang your hat on cost. Log on to some of the online machining marketplaces like mfg.com to get an idea of just how cheap you have to be for cost to be your major selling point. Most folks give up their membership in those sites in a hurry because they can't match the competitive bids they see there. Geography can help. Maybe there are very few shops in your area. Even better is competing on capabilities. If you've got the only water jet machine for miles around, that's valuable. If you're the only one with CNC machines able to handle large parts in your area, that's valuable. Perhaps you're the only one able to do small parts, or you specialize in difficult materials. Perhaps you can cater to aerospace and medical contracts that have lots of quality-related issues and constraints. One thing's for sure, if you're just one more guy with a pretty standard VMC, you will have a less of a competitive advantage, and that'll make it harder for you. What about product companies? Competition there is different. Some of the same things apply, but the strategic framework that works best for product companies is different, and I've shown it here. To succeed, you need to try to be one and only one of these three things. You might want to build the best product in your market. Trader Joe's, for example, wants to be the best grocery store ever. The second possibility is you're going to build the best product for a particular niche that the overall best product doesn't serve very well. Whole Foods, for example, is all about satisfying those folks who want organic food. Lastly, you might choose to be the cheapest product in the market. Walmart is a great example of doing that. The thing is, you have to pick just one of these and not try to do more than one. It's impossible, for example, to be both the best and the cheapest. What you're doing on one will compromise your ability to succeed on the other. Get those three questions answered before you do anything else towards starting your CNC business, and they'll help you focus all your other questions and decisions around the right framework. I'm Bob Warfield from CNC Cookbook. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back soon with another CNC Chef video.